Hi, this is another Table Talk. Let me read the scripture first. Revelation chapter 13, and I will start with verse 13. It being the second beast, performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak, and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now we're all familiar with this story of how things get wrapped up here on earth and how God brings it to a conclusion. But I confess, I've always wondered how that was possible, especially having lived all of my life here in the United States and experienced the quest for freedom and liberty that Americans have always propounded as the definition of their character. But now I'm not so sure. I think maybe I've got it. Here we are in this COVID-19 crisis. In the United States, thus far, about 1,000 people have died nationwide from this virus. In the state of Washington, where I live, I believe the number is 132, and I will use that because on an average month, not adjusted for seasonal differences, but on an average month, about 5,000 people die every single month in the state of Washington. Now, what does that mean? 5,000. And here we've had 132 or 134 die this month from this virus, which is really a COVID virus, a coronavirus, of which there are hundreds, if not thousands, of varieties of this type of virus that are in our world, and many of which kill us on a regular basis. I believe I read that worldwide some up to 5 million people in the world die every year from upper respiratory viral infections. Colds are typically caused either by rhinoviruses or coronaviruses, or a combination thereof. Well, having said that, we have crashed our economy. 3.3 million people, as of this morning, were reported to have lost their jobs, at least temporarily, because of a nationwide shutdown, go home and stay home type of orders. Thousands of those people will never return to work. They will lose their homes. Some of them will lose their families. They will lose their livelihoods because of this shutdown. Well, what does that have to do with the text? What I want you to note is how quickly people complied with this order. There was no real argument. Definitely no philosophical argument, no religious argument. Churches closed their doors. Businesses nailed plywood over their windows, sent their employees home. Those that had large cash reserves are trying to pay employees for not being there, but if this economic shutdown extends for too long, they will never go back to work. Restaurants that we have enjoyed eating at may never reopen. And that's not to count all the other small businesses that have lived and operated month by month and now are closing their doors never to open again. Well, the Bible tells us that as the world is drawn to its conclusion, God will allow the devil and his human associates, because that's what the image of the beast is the governmental authorities that are in cooperation with the ruler of this world, the devil. God will permit him to perform signs, wonders, to do things that boggle the mind and deceive people. And deceived, frightened people will do almost anything to gain temporary security. Now, I don't know how this all is going to take place in the future. But now I know that it's definitely not an impossibility. What we see happening today can happen and will happen on a much larger scale when God says it is finished. Thanks for listening.